And now to our discussion. Nigeria's Senate earlier this week approved President Bola Tinubu's $21.5 billion external borrowing plan for the 2025 to 2026 fiscal period. This is part of the federal government's medium-term borrowing strategy as captured in the 2025 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. However, this approval comes at a time when the nation is facing a troubling economic challenges like rising public debt, depleted revenues, and increased living condition difficulties. With a growing dependency on both domestic and external loans to fund budget deficits and critical infrastructure, concerns are mounting about debt sustainability and the long-term impact on Nigeria's economic stability. While joining us from Jos to discuss the implications of this borrowing plan is a political economist, Mr. Adakole Ijogi. Mr. Ijogi, you're welcome to Business Express.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
Great. Let's start by having your thoughts on the Senate's approval of the massive loan. Do you think Nigeria needs this level of borrowing?
Well, let me start by saying that borrowing to fund infrastructure, to fund certain aspects of our development architecture is not something too bad. Because if you look at the revenue streams that is accruing to the federal government, you know that Nigeria needs some level of support also for financial leaning, hence it needs to borrow. And even besides, what we economists are, what we really dislike is borrowing excessively and borrowing for consumption. But if you look at the fiscal strategy paper of the federal government, especially the fiscal strategy paper of 2024, 2025 to 2026, 2027, you see that all these were included. All these forms of borrowing that were included. Where we would like to draw caution to the government is to ensure that the government does not use most of these borrowed funds for recurrent expenditure. Instead, it should be used for capital expenditure. So my position is yes, government needs to borrow to fund certain aspects of the budget, especially looking at the revenue streams of our budget size, of our annual budget. You will know that the government needs, for you to have a balanced budget, the government needs to supplement with some level of borrowing, especially to fund infrastructure. So borrowing is not a bad thing, especially because you borrow, you must borrow for production and not for consumption.
All right. Now, about $3 billion of the borrowing is earmarked for revitalizing the Eastern Rail Corridor from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, and other funds will support projects in healthcare, education, and agriculture. How transformative do you expect these investments to be, particularly for job creation and economic diversification?
You know, the thing about infrastructure development is that it has the what do you call it, the production line, the line of thought, or the linkages are very many, especially when you're talking about rail infrastructure from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. You have the transportation of goods and services of human beings. Then you open up new cities. You know, that's one of the things that the Nigerian economy is missing. That's why everybody is there, hell bent on fossil fuels in petroleum. Everybody is looking for either gas or looking for diesel or petrol to run or power their businesses. Rail transportation is one of the most effective ways of developing a society because it moves goods cheaper, it moves larger sizes of goods and commodities, and it's that linkages. It links towns and places together. So I think that investment in that particular sector, especially in rail, I think it will create jobs. I think it will increase the nominal GDP that we have in a monthly nominal GDP that we have in Nigeria. So I think it's a wonderful thing to say that the government is doing to say that they will invest in specific areas, clear areas. Now, on the flip side of it, the thing that worries some of us is that is what government, might just be government pronouncement. In the actual implementation, you now hear things like buying cars for National Assembly members, or things like funding the budget, funding overhead or budget, not even the capital side of it, from these same funds. So I think that it should be about implementation. That is why civil society, the media like you, should hold government accountable to ensure that government invest in these critical sectors that it has promised Nigerians that they are going to invest in. Hence, it would thereby then bring development to our people.
Yeah, many Nigerians are actually skeptical about borrowing due to past mismanagement. But the
Yes.
government has promised a rigorous project selection and a transparent procurement. Now, from an economist perspective, what steps should government take to ensure these funds are used effectively and deliver tangible benefits to citizens?
I think government should just stick to its plan. What I wish that this particular administration does, what I wish that they did more like, is that they should have an economic plan, something that will give us like a 6-year plan, like a blueprint, so that we'll not only be depending on the fiscal strategy paper and the midterm expenditure framework. We'll not only be depending on those 2 or 3 years financial document that just only says how much government is going to borrow and how much or what government is going to invest in. Now we need because if you look at economies that are advancing, you will see that they have a clear-cut plan on how government is going to allocate resources to each and every sector of the country. They pick up priority areas. Right now, as we speak, I don't think that this present administration has even come up with a blueprint on to tell Nigerians this is what they are going to do, and more importantly, how they are going to do it. Now, with regards to the question that you asked, I think that government should stick to a plan. And for me, government should invest in 3 critical sectors. Government should invest in ICT infrastructure. First, ICT infrastructure. Government should invest in agriculture. Then thirdly, government should invest in power generation. These 3 things have the capacity to turn an economy around. So I think that government should be strategic. We can't invest a government cannot invest in all the sectors at the same time. I think they should just pick 3 key sectors and pour these resources into it, and then watch it, the exponential effects that it will have on the Nigerian economy. So with regards to ensuring that government invest appropriately in these sectors, I think that it's people in civil society, people like myself, people in civil society, people in the media must come out to hold government accountable. And I'm using this platform also once again to advocate. It's an advocacy to the government to come up with a blueprint so that we know how we can key in and help governments in their policies and in fine-tuning their policies and programs, because we are all Nigerians, and those policies and programs are the policies and programs that will benefit Nigerians.
With Nigeria's debt at 149.39 trillion naira as of March 2025, and a debt service to revenue ratio of 73.8%, some senators like Abdul Ningi worry about repayment plans. Are you confident Nigeria can handle this additional debt without risking fiscal stability?
Well, that's a very good question, my sister. I think that is one of the things that worries me, our debt to GDP ratio. Now, when you look at our debt to GDP ratio and you do a peer review with other economies, you see that Nigeria is not actually doing too bad with regards to debt profile to GDP. That is the total goods and values of goods and services produced within a year. That's GDP. But what worries me is revenue to GDP, because debt doesn't pay back. What pays back the debt is revenue. Now, when you look at revenue as a percentage of GDP, Nigeria is in the region of maybe like what 7%. The total revenues government earns in a year is less than 8% of our GDP. That is the part that worries me. That is why I was excited when I got the when the government passed, more like when I read and the government passed the 2025 fiscal policy bill. I think that will go a long way in readdressing the fiscal challenges that we have in Nigeria, because government needs to generate more revenues. People need to be paying their taxes. This idea of you're traveling from Abuja to, I'm in Jos at the moment, you see roadblocks, people putting tires on the way, stopping trailers that are carrying yam and corn. We live like we're in a Gestapo country. I mean, this is the 21st century for crying out loud. I would like to use this platform again also to congratulate Taiwo Oyadele, who headed that team, for the fantastic work that they did in that tax reform bill that the government just passed, that is going to take effect from 2026. So, my sister, what I'm saying in essence is that fiscal side, some of the teething problems that we have with regards to debt, revenue, and taxes, collection, and all that, that bill, when it kicks in 2026, it will help resolve this. But for now, it looks very, very unhealthy. I don't think that those people will even do business with Nigeria when looking at our current account balances the way it is right now. But I promise you, in 2026, by the time this law come into effect, we will have a better fiscal side. Fiscal side, I just hope that the monetary side too will complement it, but we'll have a better fiscal strategy in revenue correction, generating revenue for government and fiscal stability that the economy badly requires.
Mr. Adakole Ijogi, it was a pleasure having you on Business Express. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Moving on.